Welcome to this continuing experience of heart resonance, building coherence as a community, learning new processes and experiencing really the joy. I just loved Daniel came in this morning and really spoke to this embracing the woundedness, but allowing that breach of joy, that spark of joy to really expound within our hearts individually and as a community. So we're here this morning with our Global Heart Resonance Call. And today, glad to have Oriana here, who's brought forward our reflection of listening inward. And before we just do heart resonance, I want to share something. This was actually very beautiful. Charlie Riverman, he was doing the heart resonance for this morning, and he thought, I want to look up heart resonance. What does the internet say about it? And he sent me this note saying, you're not going to believe this, but I put in heart resonance, and this is what got pulled up. And what got pulled up was something that had been written, that I had written about heart resonance, and we had used many, many years ago, and Henry will attest to this, but I thought I would read it into the field as we open this morning and going deeper into our listening practice. And again, that this is an opportunity in coming here, it's to understand this is a practice, how to stay and maintain that field, that relationship with the field, which is our sacred relationship with all life and our sacred relationship with the intelligence of nature itself. That's what we're doing here. So welcome as we dive into this field of unified love. Come to the oasis, receive and be nurtured. We gather together as planetary stewards committed to the good of the whole, listening, speaking from our hearts, and intentionally expanding this resonant field of love. We gather here at the watering hole, W-H-O-L-E, finding ourselves nurtured, revitalized, and uplifted as a collective consciousness as we move into our day and our week ahead. We come here to cultivate a higher collective energetic field of resonance, wholeness, and joy, experiencing the integration and dissolution of our patterns of separation as we expand our capacity to lead with embodied ease. So just taking that in and closing your eyes as we celebrate this beautiful ovation of sustained connection within and without. So let's just drop into the silence within this beautiful spectrum of the heart. And really feel this vibrational frequency, this energy that moves within us. And as we breathe in and out, and in and out, we're informed by the heartbeat of the mother, the heartbeat of creation itself, what all native wisdom speaks to, and what all evolutionary consciousness is opening to. This sacred relationship, this spark of divine consciousness. And just allow ourselves to settle in a little bit deeper into our body, for this is an embodied experience of love itself. And for some, putting their hand on their heart helps to feel that connection. For others, it's opening the palms of your hand to be open to the information field itself, the greater Akash. And this morning, whispering into this vibrational frequency that we are the light. And this light remains always informing. And as we allow a little bit movement into our bodies, we feel this river of life as it feeds and nurtures this whole living system. And as we open this call today, we feel the heart of the earth with our feet. As we open and allow our consciousness to stretch, meeting the heart of heaven, in which the heart, our physical heart, is the center. We are that toroidal field of love. And with that, just bringing ourselves fully present, welcoming everyone to this call. And I pass it over to you, Oriana, to open with this beautiful reflection with so much grace and wisdom. Thank you.
Ah, yes. Well, good morning, everyone. Just feeling the hum. Just feeling that hum. What makes my heart hum? I wonder. And for just a moment, I'm going to read to you the reflection for this moment, beginning with a quote from our beautiful Barbara Marx Hubbard. And before I do, I wanted to share with you just a very simple technique that you can use anytime. It's very quick. And I call it listen inward. And listen inward goes like this. Whatever you're hearing as external sounds in your environment, just take a moment and pay attention to whatever sounds you hear. And now notice a sound you hadn't noticed before. Something in the environment, maybe the refrigerator's running or something outside. And now let that go and listen inward. That is, all the sound waves that came across the eardrums from your external environment, you now focus your attention on the sound that is pulsing across the eardrum as the actual capillaries are pulsing against the eardrum. And listen inward until you can begin to hear that internal sound of your heart beat. And it sometimes takes a moment or two to just really keep your attention. And it's by the attention of your higher mind, your awareness focused on this sensation that allows the sensation to arise into awareness. So as you listen deeper, feeling into the eardrum pulsing, the aliveness of the heartbeat. And now notice that your mind has gone quiet. It takes only a few seconds of listening inward for your mind to go quiet. The moment you give your mind something new to occupy, it will go quiet and you'll be focused on your heart. Listen inward. Co-create and guide your own transmutation by hearing from within, recording what you hear, and communicating this intuitive knowing to one or more others with whom you resonate. When you experience the word, communicate the word, and meditate upon the word. The word is made flesh in you. Barbara Marx Hubbard. Two ears placed together form the shape of the heart. Ear appears in the middle of the word heart, H-E-A-R-T. To listen inward, place your attention on the sounds you hear in your environment. Notice a sound you had not noticed before, a subtle background of which you become aware, and then shift your focus to hear your eardrum. Breathe into your heart, listen for the sound of the heart pulsing through the vessels. Continue to listen inward until you feel the pulse of the heart as the beat of the eardrum. Receive the communication of the living water flowing through one heart. Focus on gratitude for the abundance of life. Such a wonderful time of year for gratitude and abundance. What is the cornucopia you feel? Allow one word to come forth to weave with the tapestry of the field. And when you're ready, just bring your word, your awareness, and anything you'd like to share with the field. And allow a pause in between for us to deepen into the field itself. And I will actually share my word that has been coming through as my stabilized point of reference, and that is peace. Really feeling into what does the heart feel as peace? How do I know what peace feels? What is the heart aware of as the sensation I recognize as peace? And how might I bring my life into that future of peace and the whole world into that future, that the whole world is in peace? And hold that future so resolutely, so absolutely, so determinedly, like deciding, yeah, that's what we have in the future, peace in our world, the whole world, yeah.
Good morning, all. He's from Maryland. As I put my focus on my heartbeat, which happens the moment that I put my attention there, I am aware that the future is now, and the peace of the world is that is state of connectedness that I feel fully here in this embodiment. For me, this state is achieved when from the center of my heart, I allow to express, to communicate what I feel here, what I sense here. Sometimes to the eyes of the world, that does not look good or beautiful. But as I stay true to that impulse, true that which is moving me, keeping me alive, it doesn't really matter how it looks to the eyes of the world or others. I am at peace with me. And I don't know how this connection is formed, but this is, and when I am, the whole world is. Because this is how I perceive the world. I am complete. Mm. Mm.
What's coming to me in this moment is the word tenderness and tender, to tend something. Because for that going inside and connecting in with what we look at as our physical heart or the energy of our heart or the higher heart, where we're tending, the fire, we're tending something very natural and organic, like everything just tends to slow down. And I'm looking outside and I'm seeing this amazing vista, but what I'm really noticing is how this ecosystem nurtures itself. There's the water to feed the trees, and there's the mountains, and there's the movement of the wind, and everything is in tender relationship to itself, to the whole. And this opportunity to slow down and to allow this deepening into this vibrational frequency of this word, tenderness, to tend that ness within myself, allows for a greater sense of loving presence. And it does feel peaceful. It does feel nurturing. It does feel that especially in this great turning that we're in the midst of, because I loved the great turning. This is a great turning. And it implores us, it begs us to go inside more. And it's interesting to me because I used to meditate a lot more than I do now. I mean, I would meditate 2 hours a day for years, 20 years, every single morning, every single afternoon. And I don't really do that. And at the same time, I feel that living presence, that sense of, recovering that sense of peace within myself allows me to have a wider lens, a wider aperture to embrace all of you, to embrace more of this, of our human unity. I'm very focused right now on, the upcoming day on Wednesday, a day of healing and unity. And this is what's required, the sense of, really, are we willing to open this aperture to be able to encompass each other in love and presence and hold that sense of tenderness within our own hearts and with the whole. So pass the magnificent virtual talking stick and place it in the center.
So it's always wonderful to be here. Each of you, of us, and those who have already spoken this morning, thank you so much. That word, that internal word that Oriana was talking about, what came to me was freedom. And I let that vibrate inside of myself for a little bit. Freedom. It wasn't freedom from what, but it was freedom for what. And it was unknown. Freedom to feel safe and experience the unknown. And I've been working recently, and I want to give a shout out to Tony Davis for bringing this back into my life. I'd looked at it before, but in a new way, in his new way, and then exploring more. And that is that the field, the resonant field, the unified field is actually happening continuously and infinitely, but our physical being has a little time delay. Our neurology cannot experience the reality of the resonant field for a few microseconds until after it's actually come into our experience, meaning it's already happened by the time that we experience it. And then what happens with human beings? We try to make sense of that. So in fact, the cognitions come in, we experience it through our heart initially, but our mind immediately wants to make sense of that in order to be safe, in order to understand what's going on. And yet what we're understanding is the past. The present happens before we get to decipher what it is. So as we take that deep breath every morning and we allow ourselves to relax, to go and listen totally to the heart without making sense of it, not trying to put definitions on it. We allow ourselves to move to that veil, through the veil, and become present in the becoming of the reality of the unified resonant field of love. And then we come into union with that, rather than the past of trying to make sense of it. We are in the direct experience of it in the moment. And when we gather together here, and I feel that freedom, I feel that unified field among our hearts, in unity with that becoming of the field that's coming into our perception more clearly, without interference. And as that happens, that love vibration, that energy field itself, expands and explodes out from us, and we're free to share it. We're free to experience it. We're experienced to have it align and show us our life without the definition that limits it, because we are now, as Tony Davis said the other day, which I thought was great, is near future orientation. Instead of living in the past and holding on to that, we can open our hearts to live in near future orientation, the purity of the unified field itself. And it's such a glorious thing, and it's been such a beautiful freedom inside of me to not have to make sense of anything, but to just have the direct experience of the love of the field itself. And I'm just very grateful. And that was the other piece, along with the silence, having that direct experience of being grateful, of gratitude for our ability with each other to have that direct experience. And so I'm grateful for all of you. I'm grateful for this hour, and we're here for the good of the whole. Thank you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Always welcome to share wisdom, which happens so regularly on our meetings. Oriana focused after taking us through a nice, wonderful exercise to relax and focus. And I think she ended sort of her meditation saying that it's time to focus on peace. Peace is something I think is a universal want. I've interviewed over 200 people in short interviews, and asked them if they ever wish or pray for world peace, and everyone says they do. No one ever told me they're against peace. But when I've asked them what they do for peace, most people shrug a little bit and think they say, I can't think of anything I really do that would make a difference that rapidly. Some people say, I give money to third world countries, or I'm kind to people, and so on. But the reality is, if we look around our world, all we have to do is look at what happened last Tuesday and what happened just before that. Did we have peace? We had a group of individuals who spent most of their time working hard to put others down. We certainly had such divisiveness. We certainly didn't have synchronicity. We had divisiveness. And I think the president-elect, when he gave his talk, one of the key things I think he said is it's time to come together. It's time to unite ourselves and bring our energy together for the greater whole. I think that was a wonderful wisdom. But you notice it's very different than what our world is like outside. So Ariana asks the question, I think she finishes with, can we focus on peace? And I'm going to suggest I'd like to do that. And when I focus on peace, I think of what is peace? And I would say my idea of peace is if we think of it often, too many people think of it's the absence of war. It's not the absence of war. Peace, from my point of view, is blissful calm. It's an active state. It's something we do, we create, and we create in our mind, we create in our hearts, both mind and hearts and every part of ourselves, by active doing something. And the question I have is, if we want to focus on peace, how do we go about going from the state that we've been for such a long time, where people put one another down, we tear each other down, where we can create an environment like we have here? What is it that we do here that people can share their ideas and love? We can disagree with one another and still feel good about being together, still love one another. What is the ingredient that we have that doesn't seem to be present, that I can't find in the outside world? Just look what's been going on in our elections. So I'm raising a question: what's the next step? What's the next step after love? And I think the next step is wisdom. And wisdom is learning what to do next. Wisdom is anticipating the future. And as John was talking about, looking into the future, what makes us different is that we engage in imagination. Imagination is a different way of learning than trial and error and imitation. We engage in imagination where we imagine the future. That's what imagination is. It's finding what's accurate in the world, imagining the future. And when we have an understanding, then we can do something today so that we prevent what we don't want tomorrow and create what we do want. So those are some thoughts. And thank you for your other comments. I hope what I say sort of fits in and follows that link.
Good morning. Yes, I'm feeling now a heightened sense in all of my senses, or let's say more of my senses than just the hearing sense here. And I'm even, can people hear me now? Yes? Okay. So my word was connection, or what came to mind for me. And I was noticing, I was sensing, I was feeling the giving and receiving that happens in connection here, especially here where we open our hearts, where we open ourselves in listening. And I was even noticing the background of people who have spoken thus far, and feeling that the background or the backdrop was also a part of that person, or at least in my perception of them. And it was even more heightened than I feel like I've experienced before. It was almost like the auric expression. It wasn't just that I wasn't seeing just from the body itself, but it was like a greater wholeness. And so I was also drawn to explore that, besides the focus on listening, of also expanding Oriana's beautiful meditation, that opening of seeing, of noticing maybe what I was seeing was in my field of sight, but also simultaneously or opening to what I was inner seeing. just expanding that. And it opened the world. It opened our experience, and our experience of life is through our senses. So as we expand our senses, and then the last thing, and we'll close, is one of the external senses that at Damanhur they speak about is our heart sense, where we can perceive, let's say another person is approaching us, there is a heart sense that we have a sense of, experience of that person. And I was also drawing that. I was also looking with my heart sense inwardly, kind of extrapolating on what Oriana shared, and noticing that again, that I was sensing, I was seeing, I was feeling kind of another doorway that opened for me, and this expansion of consciousness is kind of is all about expanding the way that we are seeing, the way we are perceiving the world, and the way that, and through our observations, we create. We're open to perceive. So I'm complete. Thanks.
So good morning, everyone. I just want to bring this around again to that word and that inner listening and the deep silence that becomes like the reverberating sound of Om in your head. And to actually hear our heartbeat. And the word that came to me, and I love the words that have been coming of love and wisdom and peace, and inner hearing. The word that came to me is miracle. And just being in this space of the miracle of hearing, of inner hearing, of our heartbeat, of the pulsing of our blood, of the energy that we are and the field that we're sitting in. Miraculous. And with that is a lot of gratitude, because we are that miracle. And when the heart feels it and the mind knows it, or the heart knows it and the mind feels it, that sense of all of those things come together. The miracle, the peace, the gratitude, the love, the wisdom, all that we are from being still and listening and being present in this moment. Thank you. I love you all.
We are transforming ourselves. Bio-oscillating antennas, trans receivers, home frequency. We are being the becoming. And all these words, so beautifully spoken, cannot capture the energetic of the life force, the creative force that is pulsing through us and requiring us to create. It is our choice to create consciously. And in that, we manifest our true frequency. This is where we bathe in this pure love and fierce creative power. It is an honor to be that with you and be the good of the whole of us. Namaste.
I'll just throw in one more piece here. You know, we had a major shift in our political structure. And I watched broadcasts and I gathered with a few people on Sunday and the direct experience of joy. And what was the joy? Because we had a winner and a loser? No, the joy was this very human direct experience of unity, of a unification, of that deep breath of we don't have to be against anything anymore. And it just gave me this exuberance and joy of coming into resonance with the perfection of the universe. The universe is not us against them. It goes from, and numerous of you all have already said it, from me to we. And when we have that direct experience, that love, that sense of resonance viscerally in our bodies, what a joyful, wonderful, amazing experience. And the natural human thing then is we want to share that love. We want to share that vibration that is the frequency of love of the universe, in the universe. And so I just want to bring that up, that, you know, when our hearts are touched and in unity, oh my God, it's an amazing, that you just want to go out and hug everybody. And that's one of the miracles that we were talking about, and the everything else. So I just want to throw that in, and loving that joyful experience.
Under the full moon, I lit a fire and sat and bathed in that beautiful light. And I was reminded of how my son's joy is loud and boisterous, and my joy is still and quiet. And what dropped into me was this notion that the acknowledgement of each other, even those whose joy till now perhaps has been a joy at the expense of others, and the awakening and the opening and the need for an invitation in a new language that really is accessible to all. On that Halloween new moon, where I spoke with my ancestors, I acknowledged all of the ancestral lines that lead to each individual. And it was before the election, and I was pondering, how can this feel like joy to others? I had to acknowledge that for some, joy was driving around in trucks, intimidating people. And so I've been in this place of inquiry of how to really witness all people exactly where they are, and to acknowledge all people where they are, to be curious around emotions and motivations in the hopes that that invitation, that inquiry, that communication will really allow us to come into alignment and take a step together. In this field, as I dropped into my heart and sent that love out, I was as aware of each of you whose hands I can reach out and hold as the empty spaces where others are not present and whose presence is as invaluable as our own in this new dynamic, beautiful, in this future, in our collective future, in this future we dream of. We dream a future for all, how to really invite all into the dream. Mahame Tafiyasin.
I'm feeling to follow that thread. Because something that I've been deeply having the opportunity to listen to is on a similar vein of, like today, someone was speaking, they were talking about being put in situations where it was for them to learn how to let go of their judgments. And that was really fascinating to me because it's something that I've been experiencing as well. And I think pulling that other thread of like opening the aperture of our awareness, our hearts, is to understand that we actually don't understand. and to begin to embrace, just to begin to embrace these other aspects of energy, because if everything is energy, then essentially what's happening is everyone has different energy. And yeah, we don't like it when someone's violent, we don't like it when someone's resistant, as what was being said, resistant against something. At the same time, like for me, in going deeper, in listening more, is to like that relationship with how each individual's lineage opens. Because I too have been with someone who, you know, is like grew up in a totally biblical world and is part native and yet has grown up in this very, you know, to my mind, very limited awareness of spirit and spirituality, and even denying his own, you know, ancestry. So it's really helped to broaden my consciousness, to open my aperture to what, you know, I don't know, for me, I don't know yet. I have to muse with that. You know, what is someone else's joy hurting someone else? I don't know about that. I'm not sure. But the fact that when we go all the way back in to that quiet place, you know, it all comes back to where love either made it through into our being or didn't. Because when we're in love and when we feel this connection and this resonant, direct experience of what was being shared as direct joy, why would we ever even consider doing some of the things that we're seeing being done? But first I was like kind of getting like, oh, you know, taking off these layers of judgment have to happen within us. Transformation happens within us first. So I'm just really grateful for this sort of meandering thread that is supporting that opening. I mean, I guess I'm really learning that opening of the aperture, that opening of the heart's, you know, capacity to be present first, which requires sitting back and listening, you know, becoming a better listener, listening to those waters. That's why we go into nature, because it supports that. Its inherent design is that, you know, we sit deeper in our being. So with that, just really grateful in this moment. Thank you. And I pass the talking stick. We have a few more minutes here, and it will continue into the Resonance Lounge as usual.
And before we shift over to the Resonance Lounge, I would like to just read to you the weaving, the tapestry of the recap from what all have shared. And it's just as I wrote, peace, peace for the world. Connectedness from the heart communicates through the eyes of love. Tenderness, to tend to the energy of the heart in tender relationship to the whole, allowing for a greater sense of presence. Peace within opens the aperture of tenderness for one another. Freedom, vibrating within for the unknown, the reality of the field experienced in the heart as the present, relaxing into the freedom of the unified field of love, experiencing the moment. We are free to share beyond definitions, gratitude for all. Peace is blissful, calm, created in mind and heart to bring forth wisdom. A heightened sense beyond hearing, connection, the giving and receiving of open hearts in listening, revealing a greater wholeness, expanding our senses, looking with our heart, sense inwardly, feeling another doorway, expanding the way we create peace, deep silence, hearing the heartbeat of love, wisdom, peace, miracle, being in the miracle of the field we are in, miraculous gratitude, all comes together, love, gratitude, peace in this moment, a miracle. I love you all, transforming receivers, home frequency being the becoming, the creative force pulsing, requiring us to create consciously, bathe in true love and fierce creative power to be the good of the whole of us. Unity of joy, coming into resonance with the universe of we, joyfully sharing the love in amazement and awe, a miracle of a joyful experience. Under the full moon, a fire, an acknowledgement of joy, awakening, and inquiry. In the collective future, we invite all into the dream, grateful for the opening of the listening.
Thank you, Oriana. Beautiful harvesting. So I just want to speak into the field because we have something very powerful coming up on Wednesday, and want to invite you all to come and participate. We are having a day of healing and unity called Community Emergence, where it will begin at 8 a.m., warming up the field with Malini's Divine Heart Meditation and Julie Down Heart Coherence, leading to the fire, which we've invited. It's an all nations fire. We're really building that frequency. We want you to participate or share. And then at 10 o'clock, we'll start with the full welcoming of the day, honoring the Four Worlds Institute. And really this day is about coming into a sense of unity, but through a deepening in our embodied experience and comprehension of really the essence of the unified field, the essence of good of the whole. How do we serve? And there'll be processes and bringing in the revolutionary agreements, bringing in, really giving yourselves an opportunity to expand your toolbox and expand our toolbox as a collective. Marty Gunn has agreed to come in on Gunn. How do we do that as a community? It's more what you think. It's more than what you think. And we'll have everyone being able to share their hosting, what's being already offered in the field, inside of the connection field. So we'll go deeper together as in our common unity. So really for the greater commons, we're doing this day to really rise in love, but to embrace the wounds and the pains and the hurts. And even within this community, let's rise together. So please, if you can, put away that day. I've gotten rid of all my writing and my books and all my groups, it's not happening. And there'll be a celebration at the end. And we invite you to come and really see this as a retreat. Whenever we Good of the Whole has done these retreats, nobody wants to leave. It is the frequency, the home frequency is alive and well. And we know how to really communicate with greater ease and joy. So invite you to come, invite you to, anyone who's been in the field of Good of the Whole is welcome to come. And if you have people that you feel have been just at the periphery, well, it's fine to invite them too. And it will all be recorded the whole entire day. And really we see this as part one. It's a very full day, but it is a retreat, and we will have a lunch break and a dinner break. And we'll have harvesting and integration quiet time where you can write and journal. So we've got lots planned for you all, and please come and join us. So with that was a lot. I'm going to pass it over to John. Come into the Resonance Lounge, taking this day of sparking our joy and deepening into this unified resonant field of love. Blessings, everyone. Thank you.